I will be presenting on the topic of divorce and how different religions view it. So what is divorce? Divorce is the legal ending of a marriage through the court system. It not only separates a couple legally, but also settles issues such as property, custody, child support, and alimony. I chose this topic because divorce affects many individuals and families emotionally, socially, and financially. I was interested in learning how different religions respond to something that has become so normalized in society today. The main questions I will be answering are, what is the view on divorce, and in what instances is it allowed or not? So starting off with Judaism, in Judaism, divorce is permitted, but it is viewed as unfortunate and something that should not be taken lightly. Jewish law teaches that a civil divorce alone does not fully end a religious marriage. A woman must receive a religious divorce document called a get in order for the marriage to officially end under Jewish law. Without a get, remarriage can create religious complications. This shows how important the religious process is within Judaism and how seriously marriage is treated. Traditional Jewish law historically allowed men to initiate divorce more easily than women, although rabbinical law later requires the woman's consent as well. In some cases, divorce is required, such as certain forms of adultery. One important quote says, "One who divorces his wife, even the very altar sheds tears because of him." This highlights the belief that although divorce may sometimes be necessary, it still is considered tragic because marriage is seen as a holy union. In the Church of Latter-day Saints, divorce is strongly discouraged and should only happen as a last result. Members are encouraged to do everything possible to preserve their marriage and keep their sacred covenants. However, divorce is considered acceptable in serious situations like abuse, adultery, or neglect. The religion also emphasizes forgiveness, repentance, and healing for those involved rather than judgment or condemnation. In LDS beliefs, a legal divorce does not automatically end a temple sealing, which is considered an eternal spiritual bond. A formal cancellation or sealing must be required from the first presidency to break the spiritual bond. As a result of the hardness of heart, divorce is permitted when a marriage is beyond repair, but it, however, is not encouraged, and bishops don't actively counsel for divorce. In Islam, divorce is allowed, but only as a resort after attempts at reconciliation have failed. The Prophet Muhammad describes divorce as one of the most disliked lawful acts in the eyes of Allah. Islam permits divorce in cases such as abuse, infidelity, neglect, or irreconcilable differences. However, there are also rules about when divorce cannot occur, such as the reasons for coercion, binding anger, during menstruation or postpartum, or during a period of purity with intercourse. There are several forms of divorce in Islam. Talaq is initiated by the husband, khul is initiated by the wife, and fasaq is granted by a religious judge because of harm or abuse. Islam also requires a waiting period called adah before the divorce becomes final. This gives couples time to reflect, possibly reconcile, and determine whether the wife is pregnant. This demonstrates an emphasis Islam places on careful decision-making and family stability. In Hinduism, it traditionally views marriage as a sacred spiritual bond that is meant to last for multiple lifetimes. Because of this, divorce is not originally accepted in traditional Hindu teachings, and ancient scriptures emphasize staying together despite difficulties in order to avoid negative karma. However, some texts did allow remarriage or separation in extreme situations, like when it says, when her husband is lost or dead, becomes an ascetic, is impotent, or is expelled from caste. In these 5 conditions, a woman may remarry. Although traditional Hindu beliefs discourage divorce, modern Indian law now allows it under the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. Divorce may be granted for reasons like cruelty, adultery, abandonment, or mental illness. Even today, divorce can still carry social stigma in many Hindu communities, especially for women. Traditional beliefs often favor separation over completely ending the sacred bond of marriage. In Buddhism, they believe if a couple is unable to live in peace and harmony with each other, the marriage should be dissolved. Because of this, many Buddhists believe that if a marriage causes constant unhappiness or conflict, divorce may be the better option. However, divorce should not be entered into lightly. The Dalai Lama has spoken about how modern relationships sometimes lack commitment and patience. Buddhism values mutual respect, compassion, and understanding within marriage. In Buddhism, divorce may be acceptable in situations involving abuse, violence, infidelity, or serious incompatibility. Decisions are often evaluated through ideas like karma and the Noble Eightfold Path. Divorce is discouraged when it is caused by selfishness, impulsive behavior, or unwillingness to work through problems. The main focus is whether the decision reduces or increases suffering. Schism teaches that marriage is a lifelong union in which two souls become one. Because of this, divorce is discouraged, and the community often tries to help couples reconcile their differences. The Guru Granth Sahib teaches that concern for children should help reunite couples during this conflict. This reflects the importance of family unity within their beliefs. Although their value of lifelong marriage, divorce may still be accepted when a relationship has completely broken down and all reconciliation efforts have failed. Divorce is generally considered understandable in cases such as abuse, infidelity, or severe conflict. However, seeking divorce for minor reasons or without trying to fix a relationship is viewed negatively. For my current event, I researched a 2025 article from the Economic Times about a court ruling in India regarding Islamic divorce law. The Tengala High Court ruled that the khula, which is a divorce initiated by Muslim women, is valid under Islamic law, but it must be officially processed through courts rather than only going through religious authorities. This case showed the tensions that can sometimes exist between religious practices and legal systems, especially when governments want to ensure legal protection and clarity. Through this process, I learned that although these religions have different traditions and beliefs, many of them share similar views about marriage and divorce. Nearly every religion viewed marriage as sacred and encouraged couples to seek reconciliation before ending the relationship. At the same time, many religions recognize that divorce may be harmful and may be necessary in certain instincts if the couple is dealing with things like abuse, neglect, or infidelity. Thank you for listening to my presentation.